Let us first explore the nature of communication. Now, according to Webster 2017, it is a process by which information exchanged between individuals through a common system of symbols, signs, or behavior. Communication is all about exchanging information. And if there is no recipient of this information, communication would not be happening. And when you transfer this information, two persons or more must have a common system, just like you have common language, you know each other's, you have the same mind, you have the same thinking, you have the same signs, just like the non-verbal cues and your non-verbal communication. For as long as there is an exchange of information between two people or more, that is a communication. But communication is not just about verbal, it could also be non-verbal. Communication, for as long as it has a process of sharing and conveying messages of information from one person to another using different means, medium, context, media, and culture. For as long as there is a process, which means it is a step-by-step procedure, and it may happen through the use of an instrument, just like your mouth. In this case, we're using the medium of laptop, we're using our mobile devices in order to transfer the message, then it's still communication. But again, communication does not just happen verbally, but it could also be non-verbal. That means it could be written, it could be an email, it could be a message from a friend through a Facebook Messenger or Twitter. So everything that involves information and it follows the process of sharing and conveying this message, then it is a communication. Communication, it can be through face-to-face. For now, it's a no-no because it's pandemic. We are in lockdown. That's why you have your modules and online modality. But face-to-face is a part of communication. A phone conversation. Most of our models in communication are based on telephone conversations, telephone to telephone conversation. So we could say that a person who calls another person is some sort of communication. A group discussion when you were with your friends prior to this pandemic, when your teacher gives you a task about a certain performance or a simulation, a role playing, you discuss with your groups, and that is some sort of communication. A meeting or interview. Most of you have not yet experienced interview meeting. Maybe you have experienced meeting where there is an exchange of information, there is an exchange of argument, there is an exchange of comments. So meeting, interview are examples of communication. A letter correspondence, like when you write something, when you ask authorization, permission, or excuse, when you excuse yourself to a class, that is a communication. You write your reason why you are excusing yourself. Also, a class recitation, when you raise your hand and you have been recognized by your teacher during the time that we have face-to-face classes, that is some sort of communication. In other words, the basic functions of communication are to achieve understanding or shared meaning. The goal of communication is not for you to be fluent in English. Same with the course, same with our course, oral communication. Oral communication is not focused on making you fluent in English, but making you spontaneous in communicating. Regardless of the words that you are going to use, If they could not understand what you are saying, then there's a problem. Regardless if you have a highfalutin bank of words, if your students, if your learners, if your friends, if your audiences would not be able to learn from you because they don't know the words that you are uttering, then there is a miscommunication. So the goal here is to achieve understanding. Just like a product, when you sell a product, then you have to persuade the person, the vendee, for him or that person to buy your product. That's the goal of communication, to persuade. Also to inform. How did you learn about pandemic? How did you learn about COVID-19? It was because of news. It was because of posts. It was because of your LGU, your local government unit. It was because of your barangay council. I mean, this information has been transferred to you through communication. The basic function of communication is to entertain you, to entertain us. We laugh together and we smile together because we know that we are communicating with one another. And the last one is, the basic function of communication is to manage relationships. To manage relationships. Any sort of relationships. Romantic, it could be a family relationship, it could be a friendly relationship. Some sort of relationship, there must be communication. If there is no communication in a relationship, in any kind of relationship, then that relationship will be broken sooner or later. So we manage relationship by talking to one another, by chatting one another, by calling one another, by communicating with one another. Again, we persuade, we inform, we entertain, and we manage relationship through communication.